Doug Bowser is out. He's calling it quits. He's gone.
Like, subscribe, and join if you can. Let's get it.
Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Well, here we are. Doug Bowser is on his way out. And man, what timing. What timing, let me tell you. Well, before I get into the bigger conversation, let me tell you, if you're a CEO, this is a great time to get out. He's going to get all that Christmas bonus money coming in. You know, he's going to work till the end of the year, right? So he's going to get all those Christmas sales bonuses. They're going to go higher. I mean, they just are. People are buying the console. And at least the initial Christmas, you're going to see that bump. And all that money he's going to get, all that money that he generated, he's probably going to get in bonuses however his contract is structured, right? So from a business perspective, this is the right time to do it. But the bigger question is, how will you remember him? How has the company changed? You know, while he's been ahead of Nintendo here in America, has it changed for the better or for the worse? A lot of people feel that it's changed for the worse, right? And it's because of pricing. It's because now Nintendo is not perceived as that customer-friendly company, customer service-oriented company that it was. You know, even in the past when they had the higher prices, which, you know, they had the higher prices with Sega, right? They had higher prices, you know, when it came to cartridges back in the N64 days, Super Nintendo, you name it. You know, the prices were always higher. But they were perceived to be a customer-friendly company because they did so much more. They did that extra, right, for customers. Whether it was customer service or products that people wanted, right? They came up with innovations, you know, you name it. The reason people see Nintendo almost as a religion, right? Not only because of the time that we've been playing it. Now, I was a gamer before the NES even existed, right? I was a gamer in the Atari times. I was a gamer back in the ColecoVision times, right? That's when I considered myself a gamer. So when Nintendo came in, you know, for me, it was a great revival because the video game industry had died. So I always had that appreciation for Nintendo and I always had that support. I've owned every console that Nintendo's ever made except for the Virtual Boy, you know, or anything overseas, but every other console I have. I've supported them all these years. But people who have supported the company for a long time saw the change that happened when he came in, as opposed to Reggie. It actually became a money profit-driven corporation, right? And it's not only about the higher prices in the console when it came out. It's not only about the higher prices of the games. It's not only about the key cards, right? It's not only, you know, you start adding these things up. It's not only about the layoffs. It's not only about sacrificing other things for pushing the service, right? It's the embodiment of all those things, of a profit-driven environment, right? A profit-driven creed that the company all of a sudden took on. Profits were above everything else. Entertainment, it might happen, right? But we're in the pursuit, first of all, of the maximum amount of profit per product that we create. That was a difference. Nintendo has lost money on projects like the Wii U and what have you. And they've taken consumer-friendly steps. They lost money on the DS, right? They reduced the price. They did all these other things. That's not something Nintendo, you feel, would do today, right? And his replacement is in actually the same mindset. So you guys shouldn't not look for the company change direction much, right? And I'll give you some concrete examples of how the company has changed, you know, towards profit and away from customer service. What do we want as customers? We got, I'll give you an example. We had the NES Mini, we had the Classic, or we have the Super Nintendo Classic. I have them here on top of me, right? What else did we want? We wanted the Nintendo 64 Classic. They pivoted away from that, right? They pivoted away. Why? Because it doesn't make as much money. What did they do? They enhanced the service so more people would sign up and they would sell you controllers. Well, we're not going to do the N64. We'll sell you a controller, which I have here. And, you know, you get to sign up for the service and you get to play with the controller. Same with the NES, Super NES, whatever. We're not doing that anymore, which, us as Nintendo fans for decades really want. We want those mini things. We want that physical media, and we want those physical products, and they're shying away from that. When you start adding all these things that they've done, again, whether it's the key cards, whether it's a higher pricing, whether it's specifically in this launch, you saw what they did. You add it up and you see how the company culture changed. But that's what the board of directors wanted. As I told you before, it's not his fault. He didn't come in going, hey, I have this new idea and we're going to make a bunch of money. We're going to do this and that and the other. No, the board decided to hire these people with this mentality for higher profits. Right? I don't, in my point of view, right? In my point of view, thinking long term, I think it's a mistake, right? I think it's wanting to grab money now, and in the future you will sacrifice because you're losing the identity of your company. You're losing what made you special, and that's what this man presided over. Right? The greed era of Nintendo as a company, whether it's his fault or not, right? Whether that's what the job he was hired for or not, makes no difference. That is what he will be remembered for. High prices, layoffs, key cards, expensive games, the most expensive console at launch. That will be his legacy. Is he going to care? Not with the bunch of money he's going to get. Being CEO is about making the most amount of profit for your investors as possible, predicting the market. Right? That is your job, right? That's it. That is the reason why these people get paid so much. And people think it's unfair, but it's not something a job everybody can do. Not everybody can go, let me see which way the market's going to go. It's going this way. Let me do it first. Right? That's really your job. You have to go in the direction of where the market's going to go, but you have to be first. That's what he did. He saw games were going to get more expensive. He went first. He saw consoles were going to get more expensive. He went first. I mean, Tommy Tallarico, in all fairness, went first, but, in the major three, he was first. For all practical purposes, for the board, he did his job. Why is it smart as a CEO to take off here? Because you're riding off on a high note, right? You got your mission accomplished. You did exactly what the board wanted. You're at all-time high with profits, all-time high with prices. You minimize costs. You minimize labor. That's your job. He did it. You and I may hate it, right? You and I may hate the product that is being put out because it's not the best offering that Nintendo could have made. Let's face it. But for his bosses, for the people that he has to, answer to, he did a great job. So that's all that really matters to him. For us, it's a bittersweet moment, really, because we're getting the most advanced console at the worst possible price. We're getting incomplete games at the highest price possible. And the company doesn't feel like the company that we supported back in the day. Now, if you guys are looking for Nintendo to go back how it used to be, do not hold your breath. Money is money. And these companies are here to make money. If you get entertained by the products they make, that's just a byproduct. Right? That's how capitalism works here in the US. But that's not the way Nintendo started. They had a Japanese flavor to their capitalism, which is now lost. And to me, it's a mistake. It's a real mistake because that's what made the company stand out. That's what made the company different. And instead of looking at these things that people want, right, as profit loss or higher costs of doing business, look at it as an investment for the future to produce loyal customers that will be with you because you make unique products that nobody else will offer. Because the trap here is if you do the same thing as PlayStation does, and if you do the same thing as Xbox does, they can replace you like this because you have nothing new to offer. All right, humans, those are my thoughts. He'll be gone. He'll be super rich, and we we're probably going to be super screwed. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. New videos every Monday and Sunday. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Gen X Gamer. Remember to like and subscribe, click that notification bell, and remember, never ever be afraid to be happy. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.